Welcome back. It's time to go to the garden now with Frankie Flowers. So Frank is joining us from his natural habitat, the greenhouse, to share his top 5 gardening tips and how to plant the perfect container tomatoes. Hey, Frankie.
Hey, Tracy. Hey, the greenhouse I'm in right now was built in 1973 by my family. This is the place where I went through a lot of child labor. Yeah, no, just joking. This is where I learned a lot about gardening. How are you doing, Trace? Yeah.
I'm doing great. And you know what? All that child labor has made you the perfect expert when it comes to anything planting, gardening, growing. You know it all because it started at age 1.
Yeah. First thing was a shovel. There you go, kid. Let's do it. But there's, you learn every year. That's the key about gardening, Tracy. You know that each and every year you have successes, you have failures, you have plants that work, plants that don't work. I still kill plants, and I know that you've killed a plant or 2 as well.
Guilty as charged. A plant or 2. I don't even want to get into the proper numbers here. So thank you for helping us out and giving us the tips for doing it the right way. Yeah,
and that first tip, when we're talking about the top 5 tips, is when we go to look at a plant, we would say to ourselves, wow, this plant here looks so beautiful. It's a dianthus, nice, really nice silver foliage. And you think, I'm just going to buy it because it looks pretty. Well, the key is we need to pick the right plant for the right place. And by picking the right plant for the right place, we want to make sure it's hardy for the area. It's got the right soil type for the area. But main thing is the sunlight. And with that right plant for the right place, it's amazing the information that's on a tag. So what you should be doing is saying, wow, that plant is pretty, but then you should be looking at the tag to make sure it matches a location at your home that's going to work. The number 1 failure of course of plants is just putting them in the wrong spot. Have you ever done that, Tracy?
Of course. I mean, it sounds like the simplest thing to just read the tag, but a lot of us are just getting these plants that we think are going to look good in that space. So read the tag. The tag is going to tell you, does it need sunlight? Does it need shade? When it says it needs sunlight, what specifically does that mean?
So sun, full sun, is at least 6 hours of direct afternoon sun. So when the sun is higher in the sky. So generally, if you have an east-facing home, a north-facing home, you'll be more part sun to shade. If you have a west-facing home or a south-facing home with no trees, often what you're going to have is full sun. And you can get light gauges that will give you the amount of light and measure it out for you. You can geek out and get apps and actually get it right down specifically. But another reminder is no plant grows in darkness. And as I always say, it's a bad gardening joke. The only thing that ever grows in the dark is a fungi, which is a mushroom. Bad garden joke. Yeah.
I live for your dad jokes. I live for them. Okay, now pruning is the other thing that a lot of us are maybe not doing correctly. What do we need to know about pruning?
So this is a flowering spirea, and we can see that there's last season's blooms that were right there. What should have happened is we should be pruning this after it blooms. If we were to prune this right now at this time of the year as the new growth is coming out, we'll be removing the flowers. So as a general rule of thumb, always prune after you bloom. When pruning as well, you can be cutting the top to shape it out, but often what you want to do is remove some of the dead wood from the center so that we have good airflow. But the main thing, the main takeaway there is prune after you bloom. You'll never fail.
Okay, Frankie, what's your next tip? What else are we doing wrong?
It comes down to the soil. Let's talk a little bit about the soil. If you were to feel the soil, you would feel that this here is almost 3 times as heavy as this here. What's the difference? We can see the perlite that's in there and also a lighter mix. This is potting soil meant for pots. This over here is a garden soil. That heavier mix, great for the gardens, but makes plants sit too wet, too long in a pot. So get the right soil for the right application. Potting soil is always going to be best. Now there's the 3 numbers in fertilizer, which is the NPK. Those 3 numbers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. First number is for green. The middle number is for general health, the middle number is for roots or flowers, and the last number is for general health of a plant. So often you're like, wow, that's kind of confusing. How can I remember it? Well, really, when it comes down to those fertilizers, it's all about the 3 things: the up, the down, the all around. This is a water soluble, this is a granular slow release, and this is the liquid food. So just another reminder, it's about the up, the down, the all around.
How are we ever going to forget that ever again? That's the best reminder. Do that in the garden center so you can remind yourself what's going on. Okay, here's something that a lot of people will be very surprised about. Sunny days. Don't garden on sunny days. Frankie, why?
Yeah, you know, when it comes to gardening, and a sunny day, a plant like this, which is your beautiful tomato plant that we have, is a beautiful root that's there. On a sunny day, if this plant is dry, it'll be under stress. So an overcast day where we have forecasted rain, a little bit cooler is better for planting your tomatoes, better for planting plants, and also is better for you. You're not going to get dehydrated. You also won't get as much of a sunburn. You still got to make sure you throw on sunscreen. But we often think just because it's such a great sunny day, it's going to be great to garden. It may feel great, but it's not good on the plants and it's not good on you.
So maybe wait for a day with a little bit more shade and you get the cover and the plants are in a better state.
Yeah, the perfect day is where it's just a little bit cool, overcast, you plant, and then right after it rains through the night, oh, those plants are so happy. They're like dancing in their roots.
You know what we need to know? We need to know how to make our tomatoes happy. Everybody wants a good tomato plant, particularly one in a container, and you've got tips for us right now so that it's going to thrive.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one of the best tips. A lot of people don't know this. So here we have this tomato variety. Just want to check on it again. This is Brandywine Red, which is an heirloom tomato. You're going to say, why are you doing this, Frank? All of a sudden, you're going to see me picking off those bottom leaves. So as I'm picking off those bottom leaves, I'm going to go a little higher on this guy too. What I'll be doing is when I plant this is I'm going to be planting and burying the stem up to there. The reason why I'm going to do that, roots will shoot out of the stem. It'll thicken up this stalk, that is, and boom, it'll go up nice and strong. And did you also know that I can plant a tomato on an angle, bend it up, and just plant it in the ground, cover it with soil, and it'll still grow straight. So there you go. Always remember, when you're planting tomatoes, bury the stems. Pull the leaves off, bury the stems. Better success, healthier tomato, happier tomato.
See, it's the little tips that are going to make the big difference. Thank you so much for that, Frank.